Hi, I'm Nicky Billou, and I am the world's greatest podcast guest. I just had the privilege of being on a podcast with the one, the only, the legendary Kim Sorrelle. And I got to tell you, the conversation was off the hook. Have a listen.
Welcome to the show. I am so happy you're here. You're going to be so happy you're here. I am Kim Sorrelle. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I get to do a lot of fun things in life, but my favorite thing to do is meet people. And I get to meet extraordinary, wonderful, incredible people all of the time. Today, I am with Nicky, and I have been looking forward to talking with him. He has done so much. His story is vast and wide, and some of it is similar to mine and some of it is not. And so we're going to dive into all of that. You're really going to get to know him and what he does, and you're going to love him. And so, Nicky, welcome to the show.
Kim, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. I am so happy that you're here. So we're going to get into all the stuff that you do, which you do some incredible work and you help so many people. And even some nonprofit stuff I was noticing and all kinds of things. And I appreciate you so much. But what I would like to do is start out with you. And I would like, first of all, you to tell us about 8-year-old Nicky.
Oh man, that's such a great way to start a podcast. Well, when I was 8 years old, I was actually living in Iran. I am originally an immigrant from the Middle East, from Iran. I'm a Christian from Iran, and uh, at the age of 8, um, I was looking up to the most important person in my life, which is my father. And my father was an incredible man. He was an entrepreneur, and he was someone who loved people and believed in people and always encouraged people. And he would tell me all the time, son, life is about people. And I'd go, okay, Dad. And he'd say, son, even business is about people. Now at 8, I was a smart aleck. And I said, Dad, what are you talking about? Business is about money. Without money, there's no business. He said, yes, son, but without people, there's no need for money. What is business? Business is about solving problems for people, and then you have a right to earn a profit. That's the purpose of business. So imagine a Venn diagram: problems, people, profit, and then where all three intersect, that's the purpose of business. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And Dad always was helping people. He was always encouraging people. If you knew him, and let's say you were trying to find a job, if he didn't have a job to give you himself, he'd clear his calendar. He'd sit you down in his office. And he'd just say, wait, wait, wait. And he'd call, he'd just dial and say, hey, I, I got my friend over here, Kim. Kim is an amazing lady. She's like looking for work and blah, blah, blah. Tell me. And he'd just ethically manipulate these folks until one of them said, yeah, I got an opening. And then he'd negotiate for you to get the highest salary he could. And then he'd nail the salary for you. He'd say, okay, Kim, go to this address. You start this, your salary. Good luck. That's what he'd do, right? And then if you were trying to start a business, he always encouraged business people. He'd just sit down with you and he would just listen to your ideas. And he was so smart. He'd give you his best advice. And then he'd introduce you to sources of capital. He'd introduce you to potential clients. He would like sit down and help you out, even if you were a competitor. He was in the import-export field because he didn't really believe in competition, right? And Iran back then was, an amazing country, burgeoning in success, but still the bank wouldn't always give you all the money you wanted if you were trying to buy a car or a house. Like you might be 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 short. So if you knew him, you'd usually go to him and you say, Mr. Billou, sir, I need 1,000, I need 5,000. Can I borrow this money? I'll pay you back. Just the bank would only give me this much. You go, sure, sure. Here's a check. Go. And then people would come back to him 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, with like a check to like try to pay him back. He said, what are you doing? He said, I'm paying you back. He says, no, 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 no. You're not, no, no, no. That was not a loan. He said, it was a loan. I told you it was a loan. You told me it was a loan. No, 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 no. I said no such thing. It was a gift. Now get out of here. Don't bother me. Go help somebody else who needs it. You have some extra money. Go help someone who needs it. Don't leave me alone. And everybody who knew my dad would say to me, Nicky, your father is the greatest guy I know. Greatest guy I know. Like to this day, okay, I'm 57. My dad has passed, right? I still, from time to time, because my last name is very unusual, Billou, right? Some people come to me and go, excuse me. And I say, yes. And they go, your last name's Billou. I go, yeah, yeah. They said, you wouldn't happen to be related to a Napoleon Billou by any chance? And I go, yes, he was my father. And they'd go, oh, he was your father. And then their whole look would change. They would grab my hand and they'd shake it like really earnestly. And they go, I need to tell you about your father and what he did for me. And you'd hear some crazy story that most people would just go, this is not a real human being. Who does this? This is like some kind of Hollywood creation, right? Of like a, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington type variety, right? That kind of person. But no, man, my dad was real. My dad was real. And people always say to me, come on, who gives money to people in like $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 amount and doesn't want it back? Who does that? I go, my dad did. Like, to me, that was like normal. That's how I grew up. And they said, why would he do that? What's in it for him? And I go, oh, great question. All right, I'll tell you what's in it for him. First of all, he was a devout and committed Christian, and he believed to his core that he had been blessed by his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ and God Almighty, and that it was his duty to share those blessings. He didn't take himself too seriously, but he took that very seriously. Secondly, well, he had a lot of money. He was rich. He could, like, giving away 10 grand was not a hardship to him. It was like, okay, it's 10 grand. Not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be like my dad. I just worshiped the ground that he walked on. And when I came of age, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, to be like him. And throughout my life, I sought to help and to encourage people. Like, I've got a skill set. I've done a bunch of things. I'm sure we'll get into some of that as we go through the podcast. And I just had a conversation before you and I went on the podcast where a man asked me, he said, Nicky, tell me all about you and what you do, but I really want to know what's your secret sauce. Like, why should people do business with you? What makes you different? What is it? What's your secret sauce? And I love that question because I said to him, my secret sauce is two things. One is I'm Napoleon Billou's eldest son, okay? And two is I'm a professional believer in and encourager of people. Every human being on the planet, Kim, needs somebody to believe in them, to encourage them, because there's moments, you, me, the president, the prime minister, the head of Tesla, where our self-belief falters. And in those moments, we need someone to remind us that we're a child of God and that we can do it. And I saw my father do that for me, for so many people, that I brought that into my business. And when I work with people, I get them really good results. The people who come and are willing to do the work, we get them results. And the reason we get them results isn't because, we got phenomenal tactics and strategies. We do. It isn't because, we know something other people may not. I think we do. The real reason is because we believe in people and we encourage them. And once that belief takes hold in a human being's spirit and soul, it doesn't matter what tactic or strategy they use. Here's the truth that people in our industry don't want to share. Your tactics, your strategy, your go-to-market is completely irrelevant. What is relevant is how much love and belief is in your heart, because that is what will attract your fellow man and your fellow woman to you. That and only that. Everything else is just normal.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I love your dad. I love you. Your dad, there are some parallels, your dad and my dad. And I am a strong believer also that it's all about people. The rest of it, it's fluff, it's whatever it is. It's, we're going along for the ride. We got to drive a car, live somewhere, all of that. But really it is all about people. And I think it could be so easy for people to lose sight of that. And then here we are in this age of AI where people are taken out of things. But I believe there's strategies within AI that put people first again, and that the connection, we lost some connection with COVID, right? There's statistics on that. In the US, the statistic is that men have 0.7 friends, 0.7.
Yep. That's right.
And so there is this disconnect sometimes with people that we've kind of lost. We're looking at screens. We're going to chat GPT instead of, asking somebody a question, or I don't know, whatever it is. But the people connection, that's the number one. So how do we get to that? How do we get back to that? Realizing in business, in life, in marriage, in neighborhoods, and wherever we happen to be, people are number one.
People are number one. Honestly, um, I interviewed someone on my podcast last week. Her name is SS Coulter, Shannon Sue Coulter. And her mission in life is to reverse the ratios at which our kids are using screens. Right now, they're on screen 75% of the time and off screen 25% of the time. She wants to reverse that ratio. That's her whole message. We're raising a generation of people that don't know how to be with people. And that's scary as all get out, right? So the first thing I'd say to you is put your phone away more, be with real people, hang out with people, be physically present with people, go to events. Don't just watch, I don't know, a sports game on TV. Go to a sports game. Be live with human beings. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Speak to people. That is what life is about. You're going to be happier the more you are with people. You're going to be more unhappy the more you are just isolated and on your own. Isolation sucks.
It does. It's so true. That's so true. And uh, I've talked to people before that say they have a hard time meeting people. And I believe we're in a position where it's easier than ever to meet people. Like, I remember being the stay-at-home mom with these little kids, and I was desperate for connection. I wanted other moms, and there was a mom that was a neighbor, and I would have been with her every day, all day, just to have, some adult conversation. And of course, you're both busy. So when we got together, I loved it. But nowadays, there are groups online for everything. So if
There
you've
are.
got an interest, a passion for something, go look up a group and then go contribute to the group. And pretty soon you have friends. And so it might start with a screen, but it ends with a person. And so I just think it's easier to connect than people think. Do you ever hear that? That people have a hard time finding friends, finding connection?
Absolutely. I wrote a book about that. It's called The Power of Connecting: How to Activate Profitable Relationships by Serving Your Network. I co-wrote it with Kai Bjorn, who at the time was the country director for BNI Canada. And our entire thesis in that book is we technology makes it easier than ever to get in touch with people, yet people feel more disconnected than ever as well. And so the thing that we said in that book is the remedy to that is reach out and speak to people that you're connected to. Even if your connection isn't very strong, it doesn't matter. Reach out and speak to them. I think every day you should have a conversation with 3 human beings, minimum, minimum. You know, if you do that, you're going to feel better. And if you're like married to somebody or in a long-term committed relationship with them, man, that is the greatest blessing in the world. You're actually connected to somebody you love and who loves you back. Every day, you should kiss that person, you should hug that person, you should spend time with them, get to know what they want, do stuff with them that they like and they want to do, and have them do stuff with you that you like and you want to do. And the more you do of that, the more connected to people you are, the better you're going to feel about everything.
So true, so true. And it puts your priorities in a whole different perspective, right? Like,
It
when
does.
you are truly connected to people, and people become your passion, and people become your purpose, and they become the most important thing in your life, then then your priorities shift. They can't help but shift, because it's no longer maybe, I gotta save the money to get that motorcycle, or I don't know, whatever priorities
Whatever.
somebody
Yeah.
might have, right? But it's how can I be with my friends more? How can I be with my partner more? How can I be there more for other people? And
And
that's what it's all about. That is truly what it's all about.
it is. It is more than anything else. It's all about the people that are already in your life and that you can connect with. And if you got nobody in your life, it's so easy to meet people. Like you said, go on Facebook groups, meetups, and then find some groups that have, in-person opportunities to meet and go there and say, hi, I'm Kim. I'm Nicky. Nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. And I got to tell you, fastest way to get to know somebody is say to them, so tell me about you. And listen, man, they're going to love talking your ear off. Everybody's favorite subject of discussion is themselves.
So true. That's so true. And you brought up a good point. Listen. So I lived this year figuring out the true meaning of love, and I used 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, love is patient, love is kind, etc. And I took one word or phrase a month. And the very first month was love is patient. And what I figured out that means is that when you're with somebody, to show them love that is patient, you're fully engaged. You're 100% there. You're actually listening, not thinking about some distraction, what you got to do later, or thinking about yesterday or whatever it is, but to be fully there for somebody, that's when you really connect. That's when
Yeah,
you really are showing love to somebody, is when you're really there. And
great.
uh, yeah, and practicing that, I took practice. It took practice for me to do that. It didn't come natural from my very type A plus father, who was always entrepreneur and looking, but also was a very people first person. But I was always the next meeting, the next this, what do I have to do? And not really listening. And when I stopped and listened, man, you hear things you never would have heard. And I love getting to know people. So it is great to go somewhere and say, tell me about you. I love that. I love that. Great advice. Really great advice.
And this point about listening is so important. Nothing makes a person feel more validated and valued to be truly heard. If you sit down and you listen, you really listen, and they feel really heard, oh my God, man, that's a superpower right there.
Yeah, absolutely. It sure is. It is. And I think it pertains to everybody, because love is something we should have for everybody. Like, to me, love is our only job, really, is to love people. And so just do it. Don't judge, no condemnation, just love everybody. The world would be a different place. And
Amen.
so when we're talking to everybody, we're talking about the person at the grocery store. We're talking about the person checking out your groceries, right? We're talking about your kids, who can sometimes come and bug you. Oh my gosh, my son Luke would just tap me on the shoulder, mom, 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 whatever. When I was in the middle of something. And now I think, man, if I would have just stopped and I would have said, Luke, what do you need? He probably would have said, this truck is blue, and ran off and went and played somewhere, right? So taking the time for everybody, and I think is also key, that it's not just the people
It
you
really
know,
is.
but people you don't know as well.
It truly is. It truly is. Everybody needs somebody to listen to them, to love them, to believe in them. That really is what makes our world the best type of place it can be.
Oh my gosh, amen to that. And you learned a lot of that from your dad, which is some of the greatest wisdom I've ever heard come from a dad. Is your dad, Napoleon. And this is such a great point, that people need to know that they can do it. And
They do.
sometimes no matter how confident you are, no matter how high on top of the world you feel like you are, you can have those moments of doubt. You can have those moments of, gosh, am I doing the right thing? Or do people really want to hear me? Or, whatever it happens to be. And to have somebody in your corner saying, yeah, what you're doing is great. And yes, you can. And you're the person for it, is huge. It changes everything.
It does change everything. And you gotta get this, right? Um, People normally don't succeed to the level that they can because of self-doubt, and because they don't even have that little bit of encouragement. And their own voice to themselves isn't an encourager, it's a critic. You don't need another critic in your life. You don't be your own critic, be your own biggest encourager, and get people around you that encourage you and believe in you and see your greatness. See your greatness, because you have greatness in you. You're a child of God. You were put here on earth to discover that you were here to give glory to God and to live life as the best version of you. And the sooner that dawns on you, the sooner a level of peace and calm will overcome you. And then life will be absolutely magnificent.
Oh my gosh, That was powerful and so true. So true. You hear about people wondering, well, what is their purpose, and chasing their purpose, or there's lots of programs out there to help you find your purpose, and the whole Rick Warren purpose-driven life. And, the purpose, right, is a word that gets thrown around and thrown around and thrown around. And I just think what you just said, that's purpose. To just be fully, completely 100% you, who you're created to be, just be that. And that's your purpose.
Yes, that is exactly your purpose. And how do you discover who you are? You start living. It's a process. It's not a journey. I mean, it's not a destination, excuse me. It's a journey and a process. It's not a destination. Because as time goes on, your purpose will change. You'll discover other things about yourself. You'll decide other things about yourself. And that's normal. Nobody's purpose is going to stay intact. Everybody's purpose is going to change as they go through life. Think about it. When I was growing up, 8 years old in Iran, my purpose was to succeed in my grade at school and get promoted to the next grade. That was my purpose. In the summertime, my purpose was to play soccer, be with my friends, and swim. That was my purpose. When I was 18, my purpose was to go to university and try to figure out what path I wanted to take on life. When I was 28, my purpose was to figure out if the job that I was doing now was the right job. It didn't feel like the right job. And at the end, I moved on to a different job, but that was it. When I was 35, I met the woman that I ended up marrying, and my purpose was to become a husband and then later a father. Your purpose changes and evolves as you change and evolve.
Yeah, so true. So true. And I think to go along with that, sometimes your beliefs can evolve as well, right? So yes, your purpose changes, but also, with some of the things that I thought when I was 20, I don't think at my age, like, because we're taught certain things, or we hear certain things, or, whatever it happens to be. But then we have to come to our own understanding about things and figure out, is that right? Was I taught the truth about that or what? And giving yourself the grace to change, the grace to say, yeah, well, that was me 6 me's ago, or whatever. But giving yourself that grace to also change your purpose, to recognize that, okay, well, now here I am. How do I be the best me? How do I be fully, completely me in what I'm doing today? And
Amen. Beautifully said.
Yeah, but that can be difficult for people sometimes.
It is difficult for people, but just depends on what you want to do in life. I mean, so let me ask you, what is it that you do day to day these days besides the podcast and the TV show?
Oh my gosh, I have fun. I have grandkids and kids, and I have lots of friends. And so a day doesn't go by that I don't see somebody that I love, somebody dear to my heart. I write, I speak.
Right.
Yeah, I love to write.
What do you write about?
Well, I've got a few books out there already. And I wrote about my journey of love, and Love is the name of that book. I've written a couple other things, but
Good
right
name
now,
for a book. That's a good name for a book. I like it. It is, yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So right now I'm writing a book on grief, because I think people should have the freedom to grieve however they grieve, without having to follow certain steps that somebody made up. And I am writing a book about all the things my kids told me I did wrong and what they would do differently. And that is the most fun thing that I am writing right now. I love it. It's just fun. They hate it that I'm writing it. So I just say, well, then don't complain. Then don't tell me that I screwed up, and I'll stop writing the book. But meanwhile, it is so fun to write.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, the fact that you are able to speak to all the things that you do day to day like this, and a sparkle comes over your face and into your eyes, tells me that you're on purpose, right? You're on purpose. My purpose day to day right now is I'm here to build a business. I'm here to make that business thrive and be successful so I can take care of my family at a better and higher level. And my business is all about serving my fellow man and woman. So I'm here to serve a ton of people. And the more people I get to serve, the more lives I touch and impact in a positive way, the more I succeed. So this is just heaven. It's blissful for me.
And look at you, Sparkle. I mean, same thing, right? So you know that you're living in your purpose. You know you're being completely you and totally you, which is so fantastic. It's the place to be.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear a story of, like somebody that you've helped or where they
Sure.
came from and got to.
Oh God, thank you for asking that. I got like a dozen stories, but let me share one of them with you. So, God, a few years ago, around this time, I think 6 years ago, I was introduced to this wonderful lady, and she was a functional medicine doctor. So all about healing people, loving on them, helping their health be the best. And she was just this bubbling fountain of enthusiasm and joy. And she had been pretty successful, right? She was making six figures a year. But when she came to us, her business was floundering. I mean, she was successful, but it wasn't growing. And she also had some challenging personal news. Her father, who was her hero, was dying of brain cancer, glioblastoma. So she came to me and my beloved Teresa, whom I work with, and we're a couplepreneur, right? That's kind of cool, being couplepreneurs.
Mhm.
So she came to us and she said, look, my father's dying, and I'm also stuck in my business. I'm not digging it. I want to get unstuck in my business, and I want to honor him by doing that because he was a successful entrepreneur. And we just loved her why. So we said, yeah, absolutely, we'll help you. And shortly thereafter, something incredible happened, right? Um, this woman just opened herself up to us. She came, she met with us in person over and above because we did some in-person stuff, but she wanted more time with us. She just opened herself, revealed herself, shared her hopes, her dreams, her enthusiasms, but also her fears, her doubts, and especially her fear for her father. And unfortunately, her father shortly after passed away. I went to his wake. And this woman, I'm going to call her Dr. Vicky. Dr. Vicky said, okay, how do I do this? I said, tell me, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me about your practice. Who do you help? Why do you help them? She says, well, I'm passionate about health and I want to help people solve their health issues, but I can really help anybody with any health problem. I said, oh, is that your messaging in the marketplace? She said, yeah. I said, that's why you've been floundering, because nobody really understands what's your point of difference. What makes you special? I can see you're special, but people can't. She said, well, how do I figure that out then? I said, we're going to do an exercise. So I created something called the ideal client exercise. Okay. I drew a Venn diagram. I love Venn diagrams. I'm a fan of Venn diagrams. I got to just tell you, they're awesome. And in the first circle, wrote best results. In the second circle, I wrote enjoyed the most. In the third circle, I wrote easiest to do business. So as I want you to make a list of everybody you got the best results for. So she did that. So I want you to make another list of everybody you loved working with. She did that. And I want you to make another list of everybody that was easy to do business with, i.e., they paid upfront, in full, no complaints, gave you lots of referrals, and we just easy to do business. She did that. I said, who's on all three lists? She said, oh, that's quite clever. I go, yeah, I know. It is. So she made a list of everyone that was on all three lists. I said, what do they have in common? They were almost all women. I'm like, okay, cool. They were almost all between the ages of 45 and 60. Good thing to notice. And they were all married, long-term marriages, kids, happy marriages, happy family life. It's all good. And they were all successful in business, like professional women, you know, entrepreneurs, that sort of person. So when she got all that to me, I go, these gals sound like they're having idyllic lives. I mean, why are they coming to see you? I mean, what's wrong? She says, glad you asked. There's one thing that was, from their perspective, wrong. I said, okay. She said, maybe you're a man, you don't get this. I'm like, all right, Enlighten me. All right. She said, well, I did tell you they were all 45 to 60, right? He says, yeah. He says, they all came to me and told me that when they were young, they felt really alive and beautiful and fresh and young and gorgeous and desirable. And now no longer felt that way. And it was really bugging the heck out of them. She said, you do understand women like to feel fresh, alive, beautiful, desirable. I go, I think I get the picture. Okay. So she's like, all right. So I said, all right. So what'd you do for him? She says, well, here's what I can tell you. There's a lie out there that says that when you get to a certain age, you're no longer fresh, alive, beautiful, desirable. That's a lie. I said, okay, I can align with that. She said, um, here's the truth. The number, your age, getting older, it's inevitable. You're 45 this year, you're going to be 46 next year, God willing, right? But aging, getting physically older, less desirable. Now that is totally optional. I said, really? She said, you can look and feel and be just as awesomely desirable in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s as you were in your 20s, 30s. Well, really? She says, yeah, I've done this for lots of women. I go, really? She says, yeah. I said, you can deliver on this. She says, I deliver on this all the time. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to make your messaging all about this. And we're going to call your program. You're going to love this, Kim. Kim, we called it Get Your Sexy Back.
I do love it. Very good.
It was good.
Uh-huh.
She doubled her income in 1 year and then did it again in year 2 and again in year 3. Every year she doubled her income. So she tenfolded her income over a 3-year period. If you do the math, right? Mm-hmm. She went from doing 6 figures a year to doing 6 figures a month. And why? Well, first and foremost, she was a good person and we loved her. We bought into her. We believed in her. And we just encouraged the heck out of her. That was first and foremost from our perspective, our point of view, right? Secondly, she started to think like a businesswoman. She started to focus on who her ideal people were. And she started to go after and make some serious money as a result. There's a lot of people who say, well, it shouldn't be all about the money. Of course, it shouldn't be all about the money, but it should be at least partly about the money, And this was a beautiful thing that happened to Dr. Vicky.
Well, and it meant that she was able to help more people, right?
It did.
Yeah. 100%. And right. Oh my gosh. I love that story. I love it. I would like to meet Dr. Vicky. I'd like to look like I'm 20 years old. So if you can hook us up, you feel free. But what I would say, to me, money is the barometer. Money is the measure. So the more people you help, the more money is going to come in. Even though you're doing it to help people, money shows you that you're helping more people.
Money is the barometer, and money is good. I want all your listeners to get this. Money is good. There's nothing wrong with money. In the Bible, there's some statements that say the love of money is the source of all evil. And it can be, but money is what allows you to live a beautiful life. It's what allows you to help people. If your attitude is that money is a good thing and can be used for good, man, that's what'll happen for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes people get that mixed up and they think money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. And yes, I mean, it's not something to be coveted. One thing my dad taught me is that money is a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. It's a tool to pay your bills. It's a tool to be able to help people. It's a tool for personal growth. Money is a tool. And if you keep the right perspective around money, I think you're never going to be without it. When you truly understand what money is and what its function is, what it's for, and why you want it, and not covet it, it does change. Money then is more attracted to you also.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, very interesting, Dr. Vicky. Go Dr. Vicky. And it's so true when you hone in on who do you serve? You know, first of all, they have an attitude of service, right? First of
Yes,
all, no matter what you're doing, you're working at a grocery store, you're serving people, you're waiting tables, you're serving people. If you're working where, whatever, you're an entrepreneur, you've got a business, you have employees that you're serving, and then you have clients that you're serving. And if you have that view, I believe, if you have the view of that's part of your purpose is to serve others, you know, I think that's part of everybody's purpose is to serve others. And you're serving by employing people, you're serving by having clients and serving them well, then your attitude kind of changes. And I think the climate of your company can change. And it's just keeping things in the right perspective and realize the beauty in service.
absolutely. I think sales is service. Sales is love. And there's a lot of people in business that go, oh, I don't want to be seen as one of those people, those pushy people, those slimy people, reeking of commission breath when they walk in the room. And I understand that. But that frame also keeps you away from success. It's like you become a member of the sales prevention department in your company, right? And
Right.
what you really need to do is you need to reframe all that and look at it as service. I'm here to serve this person. And the only reason you see sales as a negative is because you're focused on you and what the sale means to you. You should focus on the person before you and what the sale means to them. The sale means they get to be served out of suffering, out of acute suffering. And my God, if you have the ability to alleviate your fellow man or woman's suffering, it is your duty to do so. And yes, you should get paid a beautiful, wonderful amount of money to do so. Because money's an energy exchange. The more energy you give out, the more energy you get back. When you don't collect money, the right amount of money, you actually shortchange your client because that energy exchange doesn't take place. You hurt your client by undercharging. Let me
Mhm.
say it again. You hurt your client by undercharging.
It's so true. It is so true. You know, I don't know about you, Nikki, but over the years, I've bought different things, you know, like something pops up online. I'm like, oh, I want to do that course, you know, and it's $27, it's $99, $500, you know, whatever it is. And that's all I paid for it. And so that's all it's worth to me.
That's right.
And I might not ever do it because I didn't pay a lot for it. On the other hand, things that I paid a lot of money for, really invested in, man, I get so much out of those programs because I'm invested.
Of course. Let me tell you another story. So I had two people that started working with me at the same time. One of them was my very best friend, and the other one was someone I, didn't have a friendship with. And I started working with them at the same time. They were in similar businesses, making similar amounts of money. I told my very best friend, I'm not going to charge you. You're my best friend. I just want to help you. But I didn't do that to the other fella. I charged him full price. And over a 2-year period, the fella I charged full price to paid me $200,000, $200,000 to work with me. Now I made him over $2.5 million. So you got a good deal. My best friend quit 2 months in. Quit, quit. Who did I really, really do a favor for? What I should have done with my best friend is charged him money. Maybe not as much as the other guy, but charged him money. So he took it seriously. Okay. High prices reassure people that you know what you're doing. Right now, I'm in a program that's a relationship based program. This guy is the master of networking relationships. He's made a lot of money through doing this. I'm paying this guy a lot of money. 12,000 minimum, could go as high as 40,000, depending on how things go. I am on top of making sure I get a return on my investment. You follow me, Kim? I'm on top of it. And the clients who work with me, my cheapest program's $3,000 US. My, kind of main program, which is like a 90-day sales training and accountability program, is about $10,000. And I got a year-long mastermind that's about $45,000. Okay. These are not small dollar amounts for anybody to pay. But my clients on average, get a 10 to 20 to 50-fold return on their investments with me. On average. And the reason they do is because A, I care about them, I love them, I encourage them. But B, that energy exchange is real for them. They are insistent upon a return.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And you should get paid for your expertise, right? You should get paid
Absolutely, you
because you're
should.
able to bring them there. But yeah, it's so interesting how life works and how our brains work and how we tick. But we need the buy-in. Like we need the buy-in. We need to invest. You know, things that we're not invested in, I think as human beings, things that you're not invested in. Like you go to your neighbor's house and they've got cute little kids, but you don't want to play with them because they're your neighbor's kids. You have no investment. You've got no skin in the game. You know, they're not yours. Or their dog, you know, might be a cute dog, but it drives you crazy. They come over and poop in your yard, you know, whatever. Well, if it's your dog and you've invested that time, man, then that dog is everything to you, or those kids are everything to you. And I think the same is so true in business and in everything in life. If you invest, then the investment comes back to you. But
Exactly.
without investment, you're just skating.
If you don't, right? If you don't get what you should get as a business owner, you won't give what you should give. So if you don't charge enough, you won't energetically give enough. So just remember that. It's very, very important for you as a client of someone's to make sure that that person is charging you a level that's good for both of you.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is going to be your biggest ticket to success
Yes.
is if that happens. And it's so funny because often I think people think the opposite of that. And you know, there might be somebody sitting there thinking, well, gosh, if I was your friend and I knew how genius you were and you did it for me for free, man, I would have been all in and whatever.
No,
But
you
it
wouldn't.
just isn't how things work. Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. You'd quit a month or 2 months in
Mhm.
because you'd not value it at all. You just wouldn't.
Right, right, right. It kind, you know, it's like your car. You know, you paid 2 grand for a car, you pay 50 grand for a car.
Treat
You
them
take a little
differently.
bit better care of the 50 grand car, right?
Absolutely, you will. Absolutely, you will. You know, I collect some things. So I have pens. I got a, 50-cent pen I bought at Walmart, and I got $1,000 Mont Blanc pen, right? Trust me, that Mont Blanc pen gets taken care of. I mean, here's my Mont Blanc. I bring the case with me everywhere. It goes in the case when I'm not using it, right?
Mhm.
Um, if I'm signing someone up to do business with me, I pull out the Mont Blanc. It just gives off an abundance vibe. I feel good about using it for that reason. Have nice things in your life. Buy nice clothes. Buy nice luggage. You know, buy nice books and take care of them. Don't buy a lot of junk, right? I think that's powerful and that's important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Quality over quantity. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I do a lot of work in developing nations and the whole quality over quantity thing. I I wish that somehow we could turn back the hands of time and go back to where things got messed up. But I go and I see these factories where people are making nothing, like nothing. Like Haiti, I think minimum wage is like $7 a day, $7 a day. And a gallon of milk is $7. So, you know, do the math. You know, they're not drinking a lot of milk because they can't afford it. And so $7 a day, minimum wage, that's what people get paid to work in a factory all day long so that they can make t-shirts because we don't want just one. We want to get a dozen for $10. You know, we want our t-shirts cheap, you know, whatever. And we want a lot of them. And it's like, do we need that? How do we shift that thinking? How do we shift the thinking of quality over quantity?
You know, it's a good question. All I can say is the individual person's got to start looking at the things that matter in life, right? And I think capitalism is the best way to do that. If you have to make your own money and you buy things, you're going to value it a lot more than if the money's freely given to you. So I got two sons. I got one who's 17, still in school, and one who's 19, who's working full time right now. My 19-year-old boy used to be, well, a boy, just like the 17-year-old. He, Dad, buy me this, Dad, buy me that, take care of this. Now he doesn't want to do any of that stuff. He wants to work and save his money, right? He values the things that he gets a lot more. My 17-year-old son, Dad, will you buy me this? Dad, will you buy me that? Dad, I want to sign up for this hockey league. Yo, it's $12,000 a year, but hey, Dad, come on, it's not a big deal. Well, you're not paying for it, son. That's why it's not a big deal to you, right? But when you start to have to spend your own money on things, I think you'll value them a lot more.
So true. So true. Yeah. And it can be really easy as a parent to want to do all those things for your kids and show them the way. I can tell you that my dad had one of the businesses he had was a plastics manufacturing company, plastic bag manufacturing company. And we had a machine in our basement. He had a whole factory, but we had a machine in our basement. And if we wanted to go to the movies, we wanted extra pocket money for something, we had to go make bags. And, we got paid based, I don't remember, I think it was like a penny a bag. And so, how many bags you're going to make or whatever it was, but you had to make enough bags that then you can pay for the movie and maybe some popcorn. And right. So it puts it, when you earn your own money, there is so much more value into how you spend it and what you see as valuable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Capitalism is king. I love capitalism. It's the greatest system ever created, and it helps you become the best version of yourself. All other systems are about other people controlling you, and that's why they all suck.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. That's a good point. So I want to know, you're obviously very wise. You've gained wisdom from your dad, from life experiences, from everything that has made you you. Is there some piece of advice that somebody gave you that has just stuck with you, or a piece of advice that you love to give to people?
Find people that are for you in life. Remember, everything in life happens for you. God is for you. So surround yourself with people that are for you. And if you find that there's people around you that are not for you, get them out of your circle quick.
That is such great advice. Such great advice. You can still love them, but you don't have to hang out
but
with
from
them.
a distance, right?
From a distance is okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard time being around people who are negative. I just don't thrive in that atmosphere. I just don't like it. Like my husband passed away several years ago, but he was a pessimist and I'm an optimist, but he would say that he was a realist and that I live in La La Land. And I'm thinking, well, I like it here. I'm staying in La La Land. This is a great place to be because I want to see the good side of things. And so when I'm around people who aren't looking for the good and realizing how great God is, how great life is, how great people are, I struggle. Like that can bring me down in a hurry. And those are not people that I can hang out with.
No, me neither, man. Me neither. I want to be around people that are positive and that are for me, and it's really important. And if I start to notice that someone really isn't for me, I find ways to distance myself from them lickety split.
Yeah.
Because all they're going to do is drag you down. And God didn't put you here to be dragged down. God put you here to shine and blossom and radiate.
Right. And I think for people who maybe are not for somebody, I think it's a great self-reflection thing to really think about, are you the person that's for your friends, for your family? Like, are you rooting for them? Like I heard this interview years ago with Maury Povich. And one of the things he said, talking about his upbringing, is that he was taught Poviches root for Poviches. So it didn't matter what kid got straight A's, what kid got the award, they all celebrated. They celebrated them. They weren't jealous. They didn't, they weren't competitive. It wasn't like they had to beat them. They just celebrated with their siblings, with their family, and they were for each other. And I think that gets lost. Like, why would you not be for people? I think when you start not being for people, it's like you've got this mentality of scarcity. Like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, if they make that much money, that means it's less money for me. Well, it's not true. I mean, or they get that means I can't get it. No, that's not true. They get it, good for them. They have success, good for them. There's the attitude that should be.
Amen, girl. Amen. Being for somebody means you're for yourself, because at the end of the day, we're all children of God, and we're all connected to the energy of God. And when you're for other people, you're for yourself. When you're against other people, you're against yourself. And it's really important for you to realize that. And it's really important for you to be aware of who are the people in your life that are for you and who are the people in your life that are not. Because, I'm a very positive person as well, but evil does exist. People with nasty intentions do exist. Keep your eye out and, look for the good, but don't turn a blind eye to that which is not good, and get it out of your life. Get it out of your sphere of influence. Get it out of your circle. You'll be happier for it.
So true, so true. And it's okay to cut the ties. And sometimes those ties are with blood relatives, which can make it more difficult, right?
You can't choose your relatives, but you can choose your friends.
Exactly. That's exactly true. Yeah. I come from a very competitive family. Like everything was a race. We'd go up the stairs and betcha I can beat you. We'd be walking down the street and who can get to the corner first and who's going to get the best grades and who's going to get the whatever. I mean, just competition that carried over into adulthood. And my brothers are both entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur, and I've never felt competitive with them, but I know that they feel competitive with me. They want to make sure they're doing better than I am, or they want to make sure that somehow they've got something I don't have, whatever. And I'm happy for them, whatever they get. I'm happy for them, but I feel that not happy for me, and that's not a good feeling.
No, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Stick to, love them, and talk to your friends that are for you and happy for you. That's what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here you are, you're this husbandpreneur, couplepreneur, which is so cool, and happily married, which is another thing that I'd love for you to just speak on, just because there are so many people I find that kind of get into this marriage rut where they're raising kids and they're so busy going to the hockey games, right? Going to the soccer games and the mountain of laundry that never disappears and what's for dinner every night and all this stuff, and can so easily lose touch with each other to a point where when the last person moves out, the last kid moves out of the house, you're sleeping with a stranger. And they lose that spark, that beautiful, wonderful thing that should be a part of every marriage. So how is it that you are two teenage sons, this many years of marriage? How many years have you been married?
Well, I got to actually tell you, me and the boy's mom aren't together anymore. And we have a great relationship right now. We raise the kids. We're both for each other, but we didn't stay together, unfortunately. I've been with my current lady for 14 and a half years.
Okay, well, let's talk about her then. So you're happy with
Yep.
her. And how do you keep that
Great.
happiness going? How do you keep your spark going?
She's very patient, and we have a lot of common interests with one another. So we both share a similar life philosophy. We're entrepreneurs together. We're both into health and fitness a great deal. We very family minded. It really helps to have similar values. It really, really does. Plus, like in her case, she's super gorgeous, man. So that kind of helps too.
Yeah, well, I would think that would be that would help. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Do you do date nights? Do you do things that make sure that you stay
Yeah,
connected, just the two of you?
yeah, we do date nights, and working together. We spend a fair amount of time together, and she cooks for me, I cook for her, all that other good stuff.
Yeah, that's
It's
good.
good.
That's good.
Couple that does things together stays together.
So true. So true. I worked with my husband. I coached with my husband. we were together all the time and had a great marriage. And yeah, so I think that that is so true, is spend time together, enjoy each other,
Enjoy
and
each other.
remember why you
Absolutely.
enjoy each other, right? Yeah. Yeah. And realize too, we were talking about having the grace to change and evolve, over time, and your purpose kind of changes,
Yeah.
give that same grace to your partner to
Yes.
change and evolve throughout and change together, grow together is such a
That's
cool thing.
very true. That's very good
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
Very
So
good
if you
advice.
were to throw out some advice in that way, like if you were to talk to your son, your 19-year-old son, who I'm sure he's not getting married any day soon, or
No,
hope,
no, he's not.
perhaps, but if you were to say, son, in looking for the woman that is for you, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to look for. What would you say?
Find someone who shares your values. I mean, I think that's important. Um, it would be good if she has a good relationship with her dad, because that's the first relationship she's had with a man. So women that have good relationships with their fathers are likely going to be able to have a good relationship with you. Um, and this may be old fashioned, but it'd be good if she hasn't slept around a lot. I think it's good for a couple in particular to not have a lot of that done, because there's a lot of studies out there that show that unfortunately, I mean, this young women in this day and age, far too many of them just seem to want to be like, you know, player young men, right? And go sleep with as many guys as they can. But the research shows that it affects men and women differently to do that. And for women who do a lot of that, they have a difficult time pair bonding, which means the marriage isn't going to be as stable and isn't going to be as solid. Um, and find a woman who's like for you, like I said before, who like sees your greatness and like constantly encourages you. I think it's important. You got to encourage her too, obviously, and that's super, super important. And you both encourage each other. But unfortunately, in the last 40, 50, 60 years, there's been a lot of disinformation that's been given to young men and women about, what it is to be a young man, what it is to be a young woman, and how to treat one another. And I just tell my son, don't pay attention to anything the culture is telling you about that. Listen to me. Here's some books I want you to read, and go meet a gal who sees things the way that you see them. That's the most important thing. You're looking for somebody who 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you can see yourself still being with her, and who's going to be a good mom to your kids. That's super, super, super important. And someone who isn't afraid to, get in the trenches with you to help raise the family, to do what needs to be done to make sure that you all prosper together.
Mhm. Such great advice. Such great advice. As you were talking about that, I'm thinking that's also what you want in a client. That's also in some, not the sleeping together part probably, but
Yeah.
but the rest of it, I mean, those are the people you want to work with. Those are the people that you want to
Yeah,
be friends with. Like everything is relational and everything is love. And
everything is.
those
I
those
agree with
are the
that.
people that you want to have in your life. So great. I love that. I love that. Okay, so how can people get in touch with you and your genius and reach out to you? What do you want to tell people?
Look, I'm old fashioned in that if you like something you heard here, the best thing to do is reach out to me and jump on a call. I tell people this, and so few people actually believe me when I say it. They just go, "Oh no, he doesn't really mean it. And I don't want to take up his time." Take up my time, man. Like, go and use this link. It's ecircleacademy.com/appointment. And I call it a success call. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. So there's no money you got to give me to spend time with me on the phone. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. Tell me about you. Tell me about your business. If you need some help, I'll help you out. If you just want to have a conversation with somebody, happy to do that too. And a lot of people go, why do you do that? Why do you just tell people to call you to talk? I mean, you're busy, you got a business. I said, I'm in the people business. When I meet somebody, I don't expect every meeting to instantly turn into a business transaction. I want to meet people. I want to get to know people. And I want to create know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust is what creates business. Okay. And the only way to create know, like, and trust is to spend time with somebody. It's the only way. So I invite you to go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment and book a time with me. Let's have a success call.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. And of course, that'll all be in the show notes and everything else. Thank you for this. Our time is up. Unfortunately, it just flew by. I thank you so much for all the wisdom that you just dropped today.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's a real pleasure to be here. You're awesome. You're a great host.
Yeah, well, you're a great guest, so made it very easy. And thank you all for being with us. And I just pray that until we see each other again, that you keep your heart open and live your love loud.